You're listening to Offshoring and Outsourcing in Philippines. Our regular podcast that looks at the BPO industry in the Philippines and the opportunities for both offshoring and outsourcing as they might apply to customers in Australia, New Zealand, the US, UK, Canada, in fact anywhere in the world. The Philippines, as you know, has some wonderful resources for offshoring, including a large English-speaking population, an excellent education system, and a wages structure that makes it commercially viable to invest in the Philippines. Shortly you'll be hearing my colleague Henry Acosta, who will tell you who's been interviewed for this episode. We interview people who run business process outsourcing companies, people who are customers of business process outsourcing, people who have been customers and are now not customers, so good, bad or ugly. We like to talk to people and share their experiences in the offshoring and outsourcing industry with you. Each week you'll hear our presenters interviewing Philippines businesses or customers of Philippines businesses. The presenters are myself, Wayne Buckler, Patrick Reyes and Henry Acosta.
The first interview is with Fred Chua of Magellan Solutions, which will start at the 1 minute and 45 second mark of the podcast. The second interview is with Adam O'Connor of CloudStaff Philippines, which will start at the 11 minute and 10 second mark of the podcast. The last interview is with Jomer Gregorio of Digital Marketing Philippines, which will start at the 19 minute and 25 second mark of the podcast. Hello and welcome to Outsourcing and Offshoring in the Philippines podcast. This is Henry Acosta, your host, and today we have Fred Chua, an electronics and communication engineering graduate at the University of the Philippines, Chief Executive Officer of Magellan Solutions. He's also the president of My3D Concepts Corporation, which is the first end-to-end 3D scanning, prototyping, and printing service provider for the mainstream consumer and corporate markets. Welcome to the show, Fred.
Welcome. Thank you for having me as well.
So, can you give us a quick introduction about who you are and what you do for Magellan Solutions?
Okay, so Magellan. I worked in a call center before a long time ago, back in early 2000, specifically Teleca, as a call center agent myself. Eventually, I decided to set up my own call center, so got it incorporated back in 2003. Eventually got it up and running in operations in 2005. I guess that's how we started. We started very small. We started with like 14 people. Now we're up to a 600-seat call center operation, I guess.
Oh, wow.
So, and we're doing okay. I think the BPO industry is pretty good with us. There's a huge potential, a huge market, and we want to be, we're in the right industry, I guess.
That sounds awesome. And what's your history with the company?
So, it was a company that I set up from scratch. Again, we started with 14 agents. Now we're up to 600. Majority of our clients are pretty much foreign-owned companies. So around 80% of our clients are U.S.-based. We do have some clients also in Europe and Australia that we cater to. We have very, very little domestic clients. So most of our clients are really foreign clients. What else? We've went through a lot of growth pains. We learned a lot over the years. So we've been operating for the past 11 years now. So, right now I think we're kind of like considered a veteran already in the industry. We're not as big as the likes of the Convergys and the Teleperformance and the Teletex, but I think on an experience level, we're pretty experienced already in that industry. So, in this industry.
Awesome, that sounds good. And what do you think makes the Philippines different compared to other countries that service offshore outsourcing?
Philippines is a very promising country, I think, and I actually did a presentation just yesterday with the Philippine-Australian Business Council, and one of the things that we highlighted was that the Philippines really has a very big advantage right now, especially on the communication aspect, because we have a very close cultural affinity to the U.S., to U.K., to even to Australia, more so than in our main competitor, which is India. then that sets us apart from all the other countries right now, given our cultural affinity to them. And it's a huge potential, but of course that's only the initial phase of development. I think, for us, for the Philippines to be competitive, they have to continuously, improve on their competencies, go up the food chain instead of just working on very basic entry-level customer service, order taking. They should focus more on knowledge process outsourcing, legal process outsourcing, healthcare outsourcing, focus on the specialized industries, I guess. And that's where I think the Philippine industry is going to be headed towards. We're in the right mark. I think we're growing on a year-to-year, the industry is growing year-to-year of 15 to 20%. And I think it's going to be steady that way for the next at least 5-6 years. So there's a huge potential right now.
I see. And how's your experience so far with the Western clients?
Pretty good. I think the Americans, Western, European clients, Australian clients. At the end of the day, the most critical factor to understand is that they're very straightforward. Filipinos tend to beat around the bush before they want to say something. If you're talking about Americans, you're talking about British and Australians, they're very upfront. They're very straightforward. And as long as you know how to deal with them, you know their culture. You deal with them fairly, justly, and pretty much in black and white. You will have a very good relationship with them.
I see. And can you provide us an anecdote or a noteworthy experience you've had with your company so far?
It's a very good, for me, I think, being in this company, starting it up and growing it has been a very huge, learning experience also for me. This has been my first company to start, and, it's already a BPO company, so I think, and I'm proud of that. And of course, again, I've learned a lot from this industry. I've learned a lot to deal with people because BPOs and call centers are very people-centric. So you have to be able to deal with different types of people, passive people, straightforward people, aggressive people. And I think that has, made me evolve throughout the years in how I manage them and, how I relate with other people. So I think it's a very, very good learning experience. It's an evolution for me. It's an evolution for the company, and I'm pretty sure it's also the same case for other companies in the BPO sector. They'll learn a lot, and I think you have to go through that learning curve and that growing pains. And once you surpass those growing pains, and I think your company is your company will go out a lot more solid, a lot more mature, and a lot more developed, I guess.
So with your experiences so far with regards to growing the company, can you say that the businesses of your clients have grown considerably well as your company?
Yes, I think we have grown. I don't think we've grown enough. I think we've suffered all for the past couple of years, and hopefully, we could grow later on now. But I think it's a matter of getting the right people in place, making sure that everything is in order, being on top of things, and I think eventually, once we get past all the hurdles, our company is destined to grow.
I see. And so can you give us the common misconceptions that you tackle about outsourcing here in the Philippines?
Misconceptions, I think it's that, there's two aspects, both on as a foreign client that wants to outsource to the Philippines. The critical factor is to understand the culture as well. If you don't understand the culture, it's going to be very difficult sometimes you'll have some challenges in terms of outsourcing to the Philippines, but you have to understand the culture. Filipinos tend to be more passive in terms of how they react, so they're not as straightforward. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not able to do the work, or they're not doing the work, or they're not focused on the work. It's just it's their general culture to be like that. So I think it's just understanding the culture of the Filipinos, and in essence, from there you'd learn a lot. And once you understand it, then you can outsource to the Philippines more effectively, choose the right companies. Cost, usually another misconception is that it's all about cost, but it's not. To a certain extent, you have to be able to get the right partner for you, for a company, for a client, and that entails making sure that you lay out everything on the in the open, making sure that you get all the KPIs, the metrics aligned, and of course make sure that you're calibrated with the outsourcing company in the Philippines, so that expectations are set in black and white. I think it just has to be like that to avoid any misconceptions, because sometimes the cause for misconception is that there's a bit of lack of transparency. And you just have to be able to be open and share things and relate better with your counterparts in the Philippines to make it work.
Well, that's all the questions I have, and thank you for your time, Mr. Fred Chua.
Okay, thank you as well for having me again.
Awesome. And if you want to listen to our podcast, you can subscribe to our SoundCloud, iTunes, and TuneIn.
You're listening to our regular podcast, Offshoring and Outsourcing, and now one of our sponsors is joining us to have a chat. It's Adam O'Connor. Adam's a sales director with CloudStaff, a business process outsourcer based predominantly in Clark in the Philippines, but also with offices in Manila. Adam, welcome to Offshoring and Outsourcing.
Thanks, Wayne. Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, and thank you for joining us as a sponsor. Adam, can you fill us in on what it is that CloudStaff offers to the market?
CloudStaff offers a wide range of different skill sets to the market. We provide a low-cost offshore solution for Western businesses to be able to utilize the skills that we have here and make sure that they're getting the right people at the right cost for their businesses.
Now, Adam, where would you position CloudStaff in the spectrum of business process outsourcers? I mean, some have as few as 10 or 20 staff, and some have thousands of staff. Where do you fit into the spectrum?
Currently, we're just over 1,000 staff. In terms of the skill sets that we do, we focus on a wide range of skills, which allows companies to have a team of differentiating skills and competencies within one location. We don't focus on just one area, such as accounting or teleservices. We bring teams together that work for the same company.
Adam, some of the businesses that we talk to make a big distinction between offshoring and outsourcing. Where do you see CloudStaff sitting?
I think we are an offshoring company. I think you can outsource within the same country as you're in. A lot of companies, if we use Australia as an example, will outsource their IT functions to a company within Australia. The offshoring element means we do have an Australian entity, but we primarily focus all of our talent that we give to companies from the Philippines at this moment in time.
And who's your typical customer, or if that's not a fair question, can you give us a portrait of some of your customers?
Our typical customers are from the SMEs, small to medium enterprise category, anywhere from sort of 5 people in their office all the way up to 2,000, 3,000 people within their Western office with their teams over here.
So, Adam, SMEs who are only looking for a few staff shouldn't be put off contacting you then?
No, absolutely not. We're happy to help everybody, and we look to help everybody that we can.
And what about the larger players who are looking for a particular service, if it be someone looking to do accounts receivable for them, or someone looking to chase outstanding debts? Do you do that kind of one service arrangement that some of the bigger BPOs do?
Yes, we do. We do large teams within one vertical for companies, but we find that once somebody's got something working quite well, that they'll look to expand. But we definitely focus on one vertical if a customer wants to.
Now, Adam, I notice on your website that the catch cry, or the slogan, if you will, and I'll mention the website, www.cloudstaff.com, the catch cry is people and technology at the heart of everything we do. Can you unpick that for us and explain how people are at the heart and how technology is at the heart of CloudStaff?
The people that are at the heart of everything that we do, because we feel that we can supply the talent of a similar standard to the West in the roles that our customers are looking for at a fraction of the cost. To make this easy for our customers, we provide a technology suite that we've developed ourselves, which faces both the employees within CloudStaff and the employees within Australia, and also the customer's manager view to have a look across everything. We have web applications, we have mobile applications, and we have systems to help make the transition really easy as well.
Pretty much everyone I talk to says the two things or three things that kind of everyone in the Philippines in the outsourcing industry talks to me about is that they have excellent infrastructure, and they have excellent technology, and they have excellent pools of recruits. You develop a lot of your technology in-house. Is it unique?
A lot of it is unique, Wayne. We bring together systems that we have developed ourselves into a suite which is easy accessible and gives you an unfair advantage, I guess, if I can be bold to say that allows you to train staff, keep communication with staff all from one portal. This allows us to keep up to date with what the customer's looking for, what the account managers on the ground in the Philippines are looking at, and keeps everybody informed on a real-time basis. I
see. I understand that you're an Australian firm. Is that the extent of your corporate structure?
No, we have entities in the UK, Australia, and Hong Kong, as well as in the Philippines here.
And is there an advantage to the customer in you having that multiple entity arrangement?
Customers are able to bill out of either Hong Kong or Australia. Some of our customers, not all of our customer base is based out of Australia. Depending on where customers are based, they can choose which entity to bill out of and which entity to actually hold a contract with.
What about management? Is your management Australian-based?
No, our management is all on the ground in the Philippines, and we combine Filipino management and Western management as well.
Now, that's another thing that I hear a lot from BPOs is that they have Filipino managers. Are they senior managers within CloudStaff?
We do have some senior management. The senior management team of CloudStaff is split between Western and Filipino.
Oh, I see. Adam, we're running out of time, but if you had a message for prospective customers about why CloudStaff is the place they should be looking for their offshoring, what would the message be?
I guess CloudStaff has four key differentiators from ourselves and competition. One of them is how we recruit. Everybody has the same set of talent that they recruit from, but we have recruitment locations situated in Makati, here in Clark, and also down in Cebu, which gives us the breadth of the Philippines. We use the training simulators that places candidates in real-world situations, so when they come to our customers, they're fully prepared. We're able to write those training systems with the help of our customers specifically for them. Our systems that we've already covered previously make the ongoing relationship between the staff here in the Philippines and the staff in the West, wherever you may be, seamless and easy. Our ecosystem of tools with mobile apps for the staff here allows them to be able to carry on working no matter what's going on. And our culture, we have an aim to be the number one workplace in the Philippines. We put in a lot of strategy around retention and keeping our staff happy. We have a number of different social events outside of work, such as monthly barbecues, but we also have clubs that the staff join with outside interests to make sure that we are one big family. And I would encourage anybody who's interested to actually come over here and have a look at the operation themselves, which I'd be happy to show them, and they can see it for themselves.
Adam, speaking of people coming over to see you, how do people get in touch with you?
If they can either via the website, which is www.cloudstaff.com, or alternatively, they can email me directly at adam@cloudstaff.com.
And that's CloudStaff, CloudStaff, all one word.
Correct.
Adam, it's been a pleasure having you on Offshoring and Outsourcing, and we do thank you for your sponsorship of the podcast.
Thanks, Wayne. I appreciate the time.
Hello and welcome to the Outsourcing Philippines podcast. Today we have Jomer B. Gregorio. He founded the companies CJG Digital Marketing and Digital Marketing Philippines. His specialties are integrated digital marketing and holistic SEO. Today we're here to talk about Digital Marketing Philippines and how the Philippines is a go-to destination for everyone who wants to do outsourcing. Hi, Jumer, and welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for inviting me here. And I hope I can give some useful tips about outsourcing.
Right, well, we appreciate you doing this for us. So, can you give us a quick introduction about who you are and what you do for Digital Marketing Philippines?
Yeah, so basically, I founded the company in my 20s. So what I do is I'm usually the one who is doing the strategy, the execution, and as well as oversee the operation. So basically, I'm the you can call me the all-in-one guy for this company.
And what inspired you to having the idea of building an outsourcing business, specifically here in the Philippines?
I think it was I got the initial idea when I was working for a US person, in the past. I think it was 2009. So that person actually trained me to become an SEO and a WordPress guy. So I thought that this good potential, because there are a lot of different skilled Filipinos in the Philippines that that can be taught these skills. And as you know, we are a native English people, and we also have at least a bit familiar culture when it comes to Western countries like America. As you know, we are very, very American friendly country. Australia, and all of those Western countries that that are very, very strong in terms of the economic power. So that's what motivates me. So I thought that why not scale this type of business and hire talented Filipinos, so you can give them decent job, and as well as earn above minimum, because as you know, the rate here is very, very low, and the only possible thing that you can do is to give outsourcing job which pays better than normal business here. So that's what those are the things that initial things that motivated me to build an outsourcing company.
That sounds like a very good background from you. And what do you think makes the Philippines different compared to other countries that service outsourcing? And what are the main benefits of outsourcing here?
I think firstly, as I mentioned earlier, first we are a native English people. So actually, I was doing my speaking engagement last Saturday in a university in Caloocan, and I also told them about this, and I actually told them that if they are really serious in earning that much, they need to master this one. So I told them that one of the most advantage of Filipinos or Philippines from other countries, like for example India, China, and all those countries, we are very, very good in terms of speaking English. I don't claim that we speak perfect grammar English, but at least most Westerners understand us. So I actually made an example of a cigarette vendor. I don't want to belittle them or insult them, but if you go to any streets in Manila and ask about street vendors or cigarette vendors, ask them about something via English, they can understand it. So how much more those people who graduated in, for example, top universities or universities in Manila. So basically, we have a good advantage when it comes to English and dealing with clients. The speaking in English clearly and understanding us or the the outsourcing party is very, very important, because sometimes the project has to be clear and some specification has to be precise, because if something is lost in translation, then it can create some issue. So that is why when people went to DMP or went to me, they usually complain that, for example, I don't want to name a country, but there's some country that are popular in outsourcing that they had some difficulty in explaining or making clear the project specification, because that country or the people in that country does not speak English well. So they went to DMP and they gave us a feedback that Filipinos really are better English speaking. So the projects were done in the correct fashion. So that's one. We are very, very good in terms of speaking English, although I don't claim to be. I'm not claiming that we are perfect, but at least they understand us. So second is, of course, as I also mentioned earlier, about the familiarity in terms of Western cultures. As you can see, if you go anywhere in Manila, you can see that Manila is like America or, other Western countries. So many Filipinos are idolizing Americans, entrepreneurs. So personally, I idolize entrepreneurs. I follow, motivational figures like Robert Kiyosaki, all of those popular motivational speakers. I follow them. So basically, we are very, very used in the culture of Western countries. That's why when people or Americans, Australians, or UK people go to us to outsource, they typically, does not need to adapt, or at least we go along well because our culture are at least relevant to them. And I think the last thing that makes Philippines the better option is our hardworking attitude, because most Filipinos really work hard. And you know that because there are a lot of hardworking Filipinos. So people like our sourcing partners, really like us because we work hard, and they think that what they are paying to us are worth it. And yeah, so last thing is the rate. As you know, for example, USD to PHP rate is a bit high. So, for example, if someone pays us, for example, 500 USD, it means 20,000, which is a bit good amount. So, although it's a bit low to them, but in the Philippines it's a bit high. So, they can save a lot of money by outsourcing to the Philippines because they can pay us low, and they get high quality service, and all of the advantages which I mentioned earlier, they get also.
Right, and that was very insightful and a very helpful answer. So, were there any cultural barriers that you faced with regards to when you were starting your own company?
I think probably the typical Filipino bad attitudes or habits, which I thankfully overcome. So, for example, I experienced some typical Filipino problems like delaying work, and second is Filipino time, something like that. But I initially experienced those, and I had a fair share of those. But thankfully, I was able to find people who are really in line with my culture, with my own work ethic, work values. So yeah, typically the cultural barriers are those negative attributes of Filipinos, which we can't really we need to talk about, because this is we are talking about real stuff here. So I think it's better if people listening to this podcast can listen and can learn that there are really some negative aspects of Filipinos, but they just need to find the right people, because not all Filipinos have those negative negative attributes.
All right. And so how has been the experience of your clients, and can you give us a testimonial from them?
I think that one of the most successful campaign we run so far was an Australian service management software. So before we came in, they are a medium-sized business. So we really don't know their figures because they don't share it with us. But before they came into us, they told us that they are a medium-sized business, and they want DMP, or us, my team, my company, to help them grow more and become a, let's say, big size company. So what we did was we talked to them, we understand all the pain, struggles, all of the past marketing campaigns that they have done. We check their AdWords, their spending, and what we have done is just we optimize their campaign. And we also think of some other ways to make their results much better. So that was last year. I think it was June 2015. And I think in about 4 to 5 months, we were able to give them a lot of leads that our contact was able to make into the company. Our primary contact was their some sort of consultant. He didn't own a thing in the company, but after 4 to 5 months of working, with us, they were able to make their company in a well-funded one. And currently they still work with us, and actually they just renewed in the the fiscal year of Australia, right, last few months. So they renewed with us, and until now they are still our clients. And that's one of the things that keep us in working, because our mindset is really to make meaningful results and growth with our clients, and that's one of our biggest success currently, and we're happy with their success.
All right, and since Digital Marketing Philippines, it's locally made, right?
Yep.
What makes it different from other outsourcing agencies here in the Philippines?
I think first is that our mindset is to produce results. I usually tell this to new applicants before they work with us, that DMP just does not just work for example X amount of hours or X amount of contents, or X amounts of all of that stuff, but our main mindset or aim at the end of the day is to produce results. So that's one of our key USPs. Second is the pricing. I can safely say that we are one of the most competitively priced company here in the Philippines. Although I have a lot of friends who also owns a company, so I can speak with them. But in our case, we have a pretty competitive pricing. And usually, if the client has a special needs, or we think that his budget is good, then we have it on board. So that's the second. The third one is, I think, experience. So I've been running digital marketing or SEO since 2009. So I've been pretty active over the years, and I'm usually up to date with the latest changes in Google, or all the stuff. So experience. So that's the third one. Fourth one is that we have a lot of references. So if clients, for example, in Australia wants to know, the clients that we are serving there, we can give them whatever clients they want from Australia. So we can give that to them. If they want in America, we can also give that to them. So we have different testimonials or reference from all over the world. I think last is that we are fully registered company here in the Philippines. So most companies that are popping up right now, either just have a website but really are not registered. So I think it's important that you're registered and you're paying the right taxes, as well as taking care of your staff. So all of our staffs here in the office and virtual, we pay them their benefits. We pay them the standard benefits, and if there's some holiday, we also pay them, something like that. So we take care of our guys and clients as well. So they're both happy, and we'll be happy if they're both happy.
And can I ask, what is the main vision and mission of your company?
The main vision is to make this company a global and competitive digital marketing company. Not just in the Philippines, but also in all over the world. So that's the vision, to make to become a world-class digital marketing company that competes in digital arena. And I think the vision is that I want to give talented Filipinos a job that they enjoy, a job that they are passionate with, and also to give some jobless people a job as well, because as there are lots of jobless people here, and I want to help them. And I also want to hire the best and the most talented people, because I only want the best for our clients. So that's the vision for the staff. And I think the vision for our clients as well is that we want to help them grow. We want to make their payment or pay or their money. We want to maximize their payments to us. So they are happy, and they are getting value with our services.
All right. What is your process for recruiting clients?
Our process right now is all inbound. What that means is that what we do to our clients, we do to our internal website. So for example, we do SEO, content marketing, outreach, social media. So all of those stuff that we are doing to clients, we also do it to ourselves. So that's why people reach out to us, and we don't we don't really actually cold call people. So people just found us in Google. For example, if you Google marketing Philippines, you can see marketing company in the Philippines, internet marketing company in the Philippines. So all of those keywords that are targeted to our business, we already rank them higher because I think the main thing about marketing company is that they should apply what they're saying or what they're doing to their own websites, not just for clients, because if they are successful in their own websites, then there's a good chance that it'll be successful to clients' website as well. So that's our philosophy, that we should apply our strategies first to our internal website, and then we've proven that because you can see some of the keywords are ranking pretty well, and we 100% rely on our inbound marketing partners, excluding our outsourcing partners. So we purely focus on inbound marketing right now.
All right, and what about for anyone interested in working there as an employee? What is your process, and what do you look for when you're hiring employees?
Right. So first thing that we look for employees is attitude. I think that's one of the most important thing, because you can't really change someone's attitude if they already have that. So the employee must have a good attitude, must have hardworking attitude, must have a mindset that we are not just working, we are producing results. So that's one. And second is the skills. The applicant must have a perfect English, at least in written English, because that's our that's where we usually communicate with client. So English, and of course the applicant must be internet savvy. What that means is that at least basic for example, basic Google search, basic account creation, basic internet stuff must be possessed by the clients. Applicant. And second is the applicant must be third must be trainable, because I experienced some applicants in the past that not really trainable. So I learned, and I already have a requirement that the applicant must be trainable, he must be open to stuff, because there's some tendency that if you are hiring for example, an experienced guy, most of the time the experienced guy have his own way of doing things. So the experienced guy must open to be teachable, or else I wouldn't be able to get them on board.
Can you say that the businesses of your clients have grown considerably since they started working with digital marketing?
Yeah, I think so. So there's the different contexts about growth. There are some people that just want you to fix, for example, their SEO. They're not really that much focused on growing business because their business is already growing. So there's different contexts in terms of growth. But I think we definitely had an impact on our current and past clients. And I can probably say that. Of course, there are some clients that I will not lie. There are some clients that aren't just familiar with what we do. So most of the time, they complain that we didn't do what we claim we do. But if you really check, or for example, the statement of work, or what was promised, we already done that. They just didn't understand that it's that work that we did, and they are thinking of different something else, or something. So I think I can say that 90% of our past and current clients had at least some results in the marketing campaigns that we are doing for them.
All right, and what are the common misconceptions that you usually face every time you get a new client, or what do they usually want to know more about the outsourcing here in the Philippines?
I think one of the most what's that misconception?
Yeah.
I think one of the most misconception is that cheap is better. So most not much. I mean, this is not a general statement, but this is a statement for some of the inquiries. So the main misconception is that if they got some proposal from lower than, for example, ours or some other standard company, they think that it's the best way, but it's not. So you need to really check the portfolio, the references, and the websites of a provider before signing up with them, and don't focus more on price. Focus on the portfolio and the achievements of a company first. And second, I think is in terms of marketing outsourcing. I think most clients generally believe that you are their miracle, and it's farther from the truth. The client and the provider needs to work together to make the campaign much better. So outsourcing digital marketing is not the cure all medicine. You need to it's a puzzle, so the client must be proactive or working with you to make the campaign better.
Yeah.
And third one is I think this is a bad this is a negative connotation as well. So third is if a client thinks it's an outsourcing, then they think that it's a low quality service. It's not that on par with Western companies, but it's further from the truth. Actually, in my experience, if you just take a bit closer to what local companies in the Philippines does and some other local companies, for example in America, you can see that the services of the work is not that much. There's no gap actually, and actually if you can really check the technicalities, the Filipino companies are actually doing more than the other local companies in a client's country. So that's the most those are the three most misconceptions when people outsource you.
Three most common misconceptions. And with regards to your company and its growth, do you have any memorable experiences that you can share with us about your company and its growing pains?
What do you mean?
So what I mean is, do you have any memorable experiences or that you can share with us with regards to starting your own company, and any advice that you can share with anyone who's interested in starting their own company as well?
Right. So Digital Marketing Philippines is not actually the first company that I've started. So I started an SEO company as well in 2011. So that SEO company as well, that SEO company, I had a partner. So although the business didn't really grow well, we relied on outbound marketing, calling. So it didn't really work out. And of course, I love my partner. I love my past partner, in there. And we had some misunderstanding and some different mindsets. I think if you are starting a company or digital marketing company or an outsourcing company, number one is you really need to know the nuts and bolts of your industry. You really need to know the intricacies and the systems, because if you don't know that, and some problems arise, then you can't really do something about it. So you need to really know the stuff. So I advise that you work in your industries first. So for example, if you want to start a call center or an SEO company, then you need to work as an employee. So you can see the actual processes, the actual things that they are doing, and you can have an idea on the process which you can replicate on your business. And second is you really need to be familiar with the papers and the legal structures here. So for example, registering in DTI or Security Exchange Commission, working with BIR, working with your local government agency, the mayor's permit, working with the benefits of your employees. So all of those things that must be done in your internal company, you really need to learn more about it, because when I was running that first startup that I was co-owner with, that's where I learned actually the nuts and bolts of legal processing. So I was really thankful for that experience. That's why when I started this DMP, I already know the stuff, and I know that you need to pay taxes every month, you need to pay taxes every quarter, you need to pay taxes every year, something like that. So that's the one. And so you need to know. So number one, you need to know the industry, you need to work in there. Number two is you need to know the legal, processes. Number three is, I think, is you really need to have a good attitude, and you really need to be ready with upcoming storms and trials which you are about to face, because building a company, whatever company you're building, it's not a walk in the park. You need to you have to work really hard. Personally, I actually work 10 to 12 hours a day myself, Monday to Friday.
Wow.
So if you're not willing to pay the price, then I think you need to do something else. But if you're ready to pay the price, then you can start your own. But you need to be prepared. You need to have a good attitude, because good attitude is the only thing you need. Because if you have a good attitude, then you will study, you will learn, you will persevere, all the stuff that are needed to become a successful entrepreneur.
All right, and for our last question is, how can anyone who's interested in digital marketing Philippines get in touch with you, both for potential clients and employees?
So they can Google us, Digital Marketing Philippines, or CJG Digital Marketing Philippines, and we are easily accessible online. So just Google our name and you can find us.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Jomer, and thanks for being on the show. For all the insightful answers, that was Jomer Gregorio, founder of Digital Marketing Philippines. He specializes in integrated digital marketing and holistic SEO. And you've been listening to Outsourcing in the Philippines podcast. It's your host, Henry Acosta, and thank you for joining us today. If you missed the interview or want to listen to it again, an audio file is available on SoundCloud and iTunes. Transcripts and archive are available at offshoring.com.ph.
You have been listening to an episode of Offshoring and Outsourcing Philippines, a regular production of Vertical Internet Media Limited, Hong Kong, which produces internet media content for internet radio and podcasting. And you may have also heard this week Henry Acosta and Patrick Reyes. The opinions expressed on this program are strictly those of the speaker. They are not the opinions of either Vertical Internet Media, its management, or the presenters of the show. To get in touch with Vertical Internet Media Limited, head off to our website at www.offshoring.com.ph, or you can call our Australian number 0731 779900, and the voice prompts will direct you through to Offshoring and Outsourcing. It's been my pleasure to have you with us today. I wish you a very good day.